I've got a lot of super glue, and when I was using it just the other day, I had a bit of an intrusive thought. Can I use it, along with some other household materials, to cast parts? To make a casting, you of course need a mold, and I just so happen to have a lump of blue tack sitting on my desk. So maybe I can just press things into it, fill it with super glue, and make some replicas. There's only one way to find out. The first thing to do was figure out how the blue tack and the super glue would react, so I tore off a small piece, made a little divot, grabbed some glue, and gave it a good squeeze.
Oh shit.
After a bit of cleanup, I left it to cure.
It's been a few minutes, and it's still liquid in there. I think just CA glue by itself is going to take too long to dry.
So I sped it up with the old baking powder trick.
My worry is that because I've done it like this, it'll only cure this top surface and the inside will still be completely liquid. That's already hardened up, I think. I just pushed on this side and you can see there's liquid coming out. There's also a layer of super glue on the outside from where I spilled it all. So I think this whole piece might just have to go into the bin. In fact, I think it's bonded to the mat. Ugh. That's all a bit of a mess, isn't it? I would class that as a failure. And I think I probably ruined this bit of blue tack maybe. Because now it's all just impregnated with super glue.
For my next attempt, I filled the mold with baking powder, hoping it would wick the super glue down and cure all of the glue. But unfortunately, it just ended up forming a cap on top, leaving dry powder at the bottom. Next, I tried building the super glue up in layers, sprinkling baking powder as I went, and I was finally getting somewhere. Though not without some struggles.
The blue tack definitely wants to stick to the super glue. Look at that. I mean, that's actually done a remarkable job of capturing it. So I think that's the way, is to just do little layers. It's not the best surface finish, but I think that's because of all the blue tack on it. I wonder if I can try and pull all that blue tack away, and I think it's actually looking a bit better.
I know this is a super boring thing to cast, but I was just so pumped that this was actually working. So I eagerly just grabbed some more random junk from my desk to make a mold from, this time something a bit bigger, but I immediately ran into some more limitations with using blue tack for the molds.
Alright, let's try and get it out now. Uh-oh.
But it eventually popped out.
I'm sure that blue tack is not the ideal mold making material, but it's what I've got. It's also very, very accessible, and you might even just have it lying around, so yeah, let's see how it goes.
Again, building up the glue in layers, I filled the mold and discovered a cool property of the glue.
Oh, it's all coming out. There's a little bubble in there. I wonder if I can get rid of him. Yes. It actually comes out remarkably bubble free. I think I accidentally probably put in too much at once there. So I wonder if the bottom will cure at all. So I definitely think the baking powder is necessary, because otherwise it will just take way too long to cure. And I don't even know if it'll cure at all if you leave it in a massive blob. Definitely poured it too quickly. You can see that there's liquid on the middle. I think if you see there. Oh, now my finger's getting stuck. Yeah, you can just see the middle isn't quite cured. Alright, so that's definitely a lesson, is don't do it too thick all at once. I'll do a bit more cleanup and I'll check back in. I think it's looking pretty shit though. Alright, spot the difference. No, it didn't really clean up that well. I think probably the biggest problem is the blue tack as a mold material. I actually think that the super glue, it's obviously not an ideal casting thing, but if you've got heaps of it lying around and you're in a pinch, it's probably not the worst thing either. I'm gonna give it another shot. I don't really know what to cast because I didn't really plan that ahead. I was just excited to try this out. But what I might try is make my own little coin, and then I might try and put like a bee in it for Barnzo. Let's try a flathead screwdriver. It's not very easy to do the curves with a straight edge like this.
This time I was a lot more careful to not do too much glue at once, and after building up a few layers, I took my coin out of the mold. I was really keen to see if the glue could capture the detail of the bee, but the Blu Tack, as always, had other ideas.
I'll clean it up and I'll show you what we got. Well, I couldn't quite get all of the Blu Tack out, but look at that. That's pretty bloody good. You can see it even got the ridges. I think definitely Blu Tack is the limiting factor here. I think actually, in a pinch, super glue can actually work as a casting medium pretty bloody well. Oh, I've accidentally just glued those together. Don't know where that super glue came from. Oh, I think it's leaking out the top there. Yeah, but I think it actually works pretty well as a casting thing. You definitely need to use the baking powder in combination to make sure it actually cures. But look at that. That's pretty good.
With some newfound confidence, I scrounged up some other bits and bobs to try out. I thought these two bits would make some good greeblies for model making, and just out of curiosity, I wanted to try casting this wooden gear that I spent way too much effort making. I think this orange piece just had too much texture for the Blu Tack to handle, so I ended up just ditching that. But for the other two, I actually managed to get some pretty decent molds. Then I did the familiar process of building up the layers.
Demolding time. It always looks like a bit of a mess when you first take it out of the Blu Tack, but I think it actually might have turned out all right. I'll get it cleaned up and report back.
It's kind of hard to see, so I was trying to use my phone light to cast some more shadows, but I actually think the glue managed to capture the little details really well. It takes a little bit of time to build up the glue layers, but with the baking powder, the glue dries pretty much instantly, which means you can go from making the mold to taking the part out in only a couple of minutes, which I think is super cool. If you used something other than Blu Tack, you also wouldn't have to do all of the cleanup at the end, which is by far the slowest bit of this whole process.
Very interesting thing that I've noticed is that the super glue always seems to climb up the walls a bit. You can see here it's really almost like a cup. I don't know if that was just the way I was adding the super glue in, or if it always sort of has that surface tension to let it climb up the walls a little bit. But yeah, interesting. Seems like it meshes. That's pretty crazy.
I wanted to paint some of these pieces just to see how that would go, and to prep, I gave them a quick sand. Obviously, I painted the coin gold, and I used some other metallic paints for the greebly and the cog. The best part about using metallic paints, though, is, of course, washing out the brush. The first coat was a bit rough, but the paint sticks really well, and after another coat or two, it was looking really good. All up, I used less than 2 little tubes of super glue because I started with a half-empty one, and most of that was probably spilled in the first test.
Oh shit.
I'm so impressed by the level of detail I was able to get out of these pieces, especially considering it's only using household materials for the whole process. It's also pretty strong. Thanks so much for coming on this little experimentation journey with me. Hopefully you've at least found it interesting, if not useful. If you did, it would be great if you could give this video a like, and if you've got any suggestions or ideas, please just let me know in the comments. Thank you so much to the channel members for all of your support. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.